Hi, I'm just going to go over the stitches we're going to be doing for making a beaded pin for provincials. So I've already got these lines done, so I'll show you how I make these lines with this example, and then after that I will show you how to do the edge beading. Alright, so let's go. So first thing I do, so you want about an arm's length of beading thread. I'm using black thread, but white is fine. I'm going to put my needle on. I'm using size 10 needles because we are using size 10 beads. I'm going to take the two ends of my string and I'm going to do a knot. I usually do a loop, and I send my loop through I send the end through the loop a few times. Pull it nice and tight, and then I always trim off the excess. Okay, so there's my beading thread and my needle. I'm going to come up right at the beginning. See, I've outlined where we're going to be beading. You're going to come up. You want about a bead's length away from the edge. You're going to come up. Then from here, we're going to grab 4 beads. I usually, when I'm doing lining, I usually pick up 4 beads each time. If you're feeling confident, you can grab 6. But I find 4 gets me really nice, strong, straight lines for my outlines. So I'm going to be following my guided line. I'm going to split the string with my needle and push my beads where I want them to follow that line. And then I'm going down in the felt, and I'm going to pull the string all the way through to the other side. So then I have my beads. If I'm following a curve, I kind of use my thumb to push the beads to follow that curve. I'm going to come up on the outside of the row. I'm going to tack about every 2 beads, and tacking is what keeps our beads in place. So I'm going to go on the outside of where I'm beading, and then I'm going to go down with my needle on the opposite side. And that's going to tack those beads down so they're nice and tight. Then, to continue on with my line, I don't want to just come up and keep going because it makes spaces in between lines. So you want to come up 1 bead behind, or 2 beads, and go through your last bead with your needle. That way your string is coming out of your last bead. Sorry if it's having trouble. That way your string is coming out of your last bead, and then we don't get any gaps as we add more. So I'm going to pick up again 4 beads. I'm going to put my string down, split the string, push my beads in place following my line, and go all the way through. Then I'm going to come up every 2 beads to tack. If you find that's not making it strong enough, you can add a couple more tacks. So I'm going to tack that in place. I'm just using my thumb to kind of guide where my placement is. I'm going to tack one more time. To kind of test to make sure your tacks are nice and strong, just run your finger over it. If you don't feel any movement, it's probably strong enough. So again, you come up right behind your first bead, or your very last bead, I mean. Then you're going to go through that bead so that your string is going through that, so we get a continuous line. So now I'm just going to pick up enough beads to get me right to here. I think it's going to be 4 again. I'm going to place that. I'm going to test it out. Do I think it's long enough? Okay. I'm thinking that's long enough. I feel like if I add one more, it might be too much. So I'm going to split the string, go down. Then I'm going to do my tacking. And now that I'm done this line, I'm just gonna come up with my needle right on the other side so I can continue doing my beading. I'm just gonna keep doing that kind of beading all across until I'm all done. Once I'm finished, I'm gonna make sure my my string is coming out of this end, and I'm gonna cut it and tie a double knot like this, and then trim out the excess. And then I'm ready to start my edging. Alright, so I have my piece finished, and then I have my player of the game back. I'm just using E6000 glue to glue the leather pieces on with our keyring, and I want to kind of line this up so the top of this line lines up with our keyring. So now we're all prepped for doing the edge beading. So again, I'm taking a arm's length of thread where this is in the middle, and then I've tied the ends together and I've trimmed the excess. So to start off, we're going to start on this side, and we're going to we have our 2 layers. To hide the knot of our thread, we're going to just come up right at the beginning, and then our thread is going to get hidden in between the pieces of felt. Alright, so to start off, just for the beginning, we're going to pick up 1 black bead. And each time I'm going to come up from this side to the front. Okay, so I'm going to pull through, I'm going about that much. I'm going to pull my string, and then you can see my bead. I'm going to go up through the bottom of the bead, and that's going to make the bead stand up around the edge. So you can see how it's kind of like standing around the edge. Now, as I continue on, I'm going to grab 2 beads. I'm going to go from one side. Usually I leave about a bead's length between each stitch. I'm going to pull. Now, I want to leave this one, this bead right here, alone. I'm just going to go through the bottom of that second bead and bring it up. And then that makes this nice little beaded edge that gives a nice little design. So this one should be standing in between, and then these should be standing up. So each time I'm going to pick up 2 beads. I'm going to go through both pieces of leather, leaving about a bead's length between each stitch. I'm trying to see if I can get this to focus. It doesn't want to focus. Sorry if it's a little blurry. Okay. So, you're gonna, from the back, you can see this bead, you're gonna come up through the bottom with your string, pull up and around, give that a nice tie, and that's what our edge looks like. So let's see that again. Pick up 2 beads. We're gonna go through the back, leave about a bead's length away, pull, and then go through the bottom of that second bead and pull up. I'm so sorry, it's blurry. Just know that before you grab your second beads, you always want to make sure that string is coming out of that second bead. Okay, let's see if this will be not blurry for you. 2 beads on my needle. I'm going through the back to the front, about a bead's length away each time, pull, and then I'm going to go through the bottom of my last bead and pull my string all the way up. It keeps having to refocus. Okay. One more, 2 beads. Go through. Pull my string all the way through. And go through the bottom of that very last bead. And pull tight. Then we're just going to do that all the way around. When I get to this section, I find it's really hard to get through both pieces of leather. I kind of go through most of it and then pull it up.